Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in and listening to Verified. We did change things up this week due to COVID-19. We wanted to do our part in communicating with all of our listeners, so we kept it inside. We're still self isolating, but we made sure that we're still connecting you and pulling out amazing people from the community. So today we have three spectacular people with us today, and I will get them to introduce themselves. Let's start with Brianna and kind of work our way down the screen.
Cool. My name is Bri Clarke. I come from Ottawa originally, but I moved to Toronto to go to school at Ryerson. Although right now I'm not in school because of the virus. I'm a dancer, an actor, singer, teacher, choreographer, all the ers. And I also host and produce a podcast on Apple and Spotify called Art Versations, where basically like this, I bring people on to talk about art and because I really believe in discussion around art. So very happy to be here.
Thank you. And Vania?
Hi, I'm Vania Raquel. I'm a dancer and choreographer in Toronto. I was born and raised here. I also, as well, go to Ryerson for dance. It's how I knew, well, me and Brianna met in previous years, but that's how we kind of also bonded. And that was a great learning experience and was nice to stay in Toronto.
And Kahvontay?
Hi, my name is Kahvontay Willis-Slaughter. I'm originally from London, Ontario. Well, I grew up in London, Ontario. I was born in Calgary. But I moved here for dance when I started school like 5 years ago. I'm a dancer, choreographer. I also am the founder of Unapologetic Dance Collective in Toronto, which is pretty exciting. It's new. It's bringing all these super dope artists together. Yeah.
Okay, so there's kind of an elephant in the room, which is COVID-19. So I want to dive into what your reality looks like as dancers now having to be self-isolated. What have you been doing? How do you still practice your art form while being confined to the inside?
Yeah, I mean, it is such a crazy experience to be a part of. I know a lot of artists are losing money, losing space to work. I was actually involved in a musical before all this, and we've lost all of our props because they're all at school and we can't go to school. So I think it's important for all of us to stay together as much as we can, and also do things at home. I've been, doing yoga and stretching and all the at-home workouts that I can. I've been also reading, which is something I haven't done in forever. So it's kind of nice to have some time to do that. But staying inspired, I think, is something that will really help all of us through all of this craziness, and hopefully that will be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, two things. One, how do you stay inspired being at home? Because I know for me, I have so many workout friends and they're like, work out, stay fit. For me, I had to buy a gym membership to get my ass out of the house to help me, because I can assure you I've gone to Rexall and bought the whole candy aisle. But it's hard to stay inspired when you're inside. So what are some tips that you can give to our listeners? And two, what books are you reading? Because I feel like we have a lot of auditory listeners and they'll download them.
Yeah, I mean, I try as best as I can to keep things sunny. I open up all my windows, trying to stay attached to the outside world. I'm lucky my apartment has a little bit more space, so I have room to do things in terms of working out and dancing too, like around my apartment, on top of my couch and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really, I guess, whatever you can do to keep yourself inspired. I definitely find inspiration online as well, through YouTube or through podcasts, just to stay connected as much as we can. That's one of the best things, I guess, about the technological advances that we've made, is that we can stay connected. And yeah, I'm reading right now, actually, Jane Eyre. I've never read the classic before, so that's on my list right now.
We love a classic. Okay, and Vania, what are you doing during COVID-19?
Well, for me, it kind of hit me hard that I'm like, wow, like I've chosen this career path that like when something like this happens, like I don't have the luxury to work from home. I don't have a source of income anymore. And so it kind of made me realize like, wow, like I never really put into perspective like how challenging this path is, like with something, because I don't know, like I've never, well, I lived through SARS, but I was such a young child, like I didn't understand the length of it. So like now experiencing now, it's like made me definitely question like, okay, like why, like do I really love this? Like even in like times like this when I can't practice, I can't train, is this really like what I love, what I want to do? And I was kind of in a slump like the first like couple days, like this past week, like I was just really upset and like didn't take as much opportunity to move around. But I feel like now I've like gone out of that because I'm like, okay, since I can't dance, like what are things I can prepare for that when this time is over, I can shift into. So I've been like applying for just kind of different training programs that will happen maybe like in August. So hopefully that works out. And like I applied for one of the house programs. It's for Black creative, and it's well, it'll start in September. So I'm like, wow, like I have this to like look forward to, like let me start this application. And so that's kind of the things that have been inspiring me, because I like hope there's going to be an end to this like fairly soon. So I'm like, okay, let me like prepare myself, let me like keep busy. I feel like that's like the main thing. I don't want to like get into like a rut, like kind of do like the same routine every day. Like I want to have something new in there just to spice it up and keep me like going.
You said something I've recently found out about is house, and I think it's a great platform for artists to get involved with. It's the EXO one, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Lamar Taylor founded it.
Okay. One, how did you find out about it? And two, what's the application like to apply, just for creatives out there?
Well, I followed it like on Instagram once they opened, because I was really interested in like the curated conversations. They bring a lot of primarily like music artists and like digital creators. But I still feel like the conversations they have are very valuable. And so I was just very intrigued by their whole approach and kind of their onboarding of like tenants and just like creating a space where everyone can individually work on their craft rather than kind of situate themselves in like a program. And so this upcoming one is for like, well, specifically female Black creatives. And so it's like, wow, like perfect opportunity. I'm about to graduate school. Like I want something new and exciting. And I just saw a post for it, and then I looked at the application, and it made me realize how important school was too, because it's asking for things like my website, which like we created in the past school year, which I'm like, okay, wow, like super great. Like I have a website, I can do this. And then like my Vimeo and like my YouTube, and I'm like, wow, like I haven't really touched these in a long time. I need to like snatch them up and like really make something out of it. And it also made me realize like how lacking I am technically with like promoting my choreography and promoting just like rehearsal footage. I feel like I don't use the internet as much as I can. And like this is also making me realize with people doing like live stream classes and everything, like art can be super accessible, but I'm just like not crossing over that barrier. And it's pretty extensive, the application. It's asking me like what are my practice and methods, and what can I benefit, or how can I make a greater Toronto, obviously through art. So it's pretty like in-depth questions, and it's like kind of like making me think like, oh yeah, like what is my practice, like what is my business, like going through everything I really do, and like that's kind of helping me realize, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to go, this is like stuff I'm lacking, but we're almost there. Application's almost done, but it's kind of long.
Those are questions that pull from the inside of you too, and it's not just general like, oh, you're a great dancer. It's like, okay, how are you using your dance to impact community? That's beautiful. I didn't know the process was like that.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
That's good though. Through an application, I feel like you're even saying that there's individual growth that you've done. Now you're realizing how accessible the internet can be for people who want to learn or figure out things. To go with what Brianna was saying earlier, I've been watching yoga videos to practice that art while I'm in here, to like be like, okay, like, girl, you don't have someone at the gym to push you, watch a video. And same thing, Kahvontay knows this. I did dance at Beale, but I was a little chubby girl, and drama was actually my forte. I wasn't the most amazing at dance, but I would watch how to do like a pirouette online so I could like do it in classes and nail it, because I was dancing with people like you, competitor dancers, and it was very challenging for my little chubby ass. But Kahvontay, what are you doing through this time?
Well, honestly, when it first happened, like I kind of found out Sunday night that we were like everything was going to be closed down at all my studios. So at first I was like stressing. Like the first like day, I called my mom, like, crying, being like, "Hey, mom, look, all my income is from dance. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like I do work at the bar, but that's like part-time. It's not full-time, and it's like on the weekends. So for me, it was like kind of a culture shock. And she's like, just do nothing." Because for the past, like, especially 5 years since moving to Toronto, I feel like I've done so much, and I've always been working, whether I've had to travel, whether I've had to perform in different cities. Like, I've always just been so oriented and so work-driven. So to, like, have this week to kind of, like, it was kind of a blessing and a curse, because although I wasn't making money, I was able to kind of, like, hang out with family and social distance. I was social distancing, but, like, via like iPhone and Skype, like I was able to like talk to my family. I was able to kind of like reevaluate what I kind of wanted out of life, versus just always being like, I have to prove myself, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, and kind of just like I had to be okay with being still. And that for me is like crazy, because I'm not the person to just like, okay, I'm just gonna do nothing all day, or I'm gonna have a drink today and just figure it out later. Like that's not who I like to be. I like to always like be on top of my shit. So like to go from like doing so much to just this week I've done like, yeah, it was just like time for myself, which was very like, I don't know, I feel like it's therapy that I needed and something I don't do often. So being able to kind of just like sit back and be okay with being still versus having to like not really be in the present, but being in the present, if you know what I mean.
There's so much irony in that. Telling dancers to be still. Very interesting.
I know.
Yeah. I think it's a process, and I think it's like, for me, it's overdue. Like I like my work hours. Like I probably sleep 4 hours a night, and then it's like I have to run a company, and then on top of running a company, I work at City Dance Corps, which is like Toronto's leading studio for dance and artistic movement. But I also teach at underground and dance type too. So it's like it's always a lot on my plate. So I think for me, it's been like almost like God being like, look, sit your ass down, watch a freaking Marvel's Avengers movie or something, but you need to relax. Like, you don't need to always be go, go, go. So for me, like, although financially it sucks and it's like, it's hardship, and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to pay rent? But at the same time, it's like, oh my God, I can enjoy why I'm working so hard. It's like, I just got this new place, but how am I able to enjoy it if I'm still at work? So it's like, the simple pleasures in life I've got to enjoy as of late.
So all of you have touched on dance, and it's the reason why we're doing a trio today. So just want to ask each of you, what stemmed your passion for getting involved with the arts? So not just dance in general, because I know a lot of you intersect and dabble into other creative areas. So one, why are you passionate for that, and how did you get involved in it?
Yeah, I mean, from the moment I was young, I used to watch my older sister go to dance class, and I was just always impressed by what she was doing, and wanted to do that. But then art started becoming something that like really saved me and became like a therapy for me. And that's why I knew I wanted to go into it like past high school. It wasn't just a hobby, it became something that I thought about 24/7, even at like 3 a.m. when I should be sleeping. I think storytelling is really important. I think it helps people relate and feel not alone. Um, Music is universal and it has so many different elements to it that make you smarter and make you more friendly. Yeah, I think art for me is something that I am always been a part of my life, and I love sharing it with other people. I love how it brings communities that maybe necessarily wouldn't interact together, for better or for worse. I think there's a lot of work to be done in our society, and art definitely has the power to change it and to make it better, or at least start to make it better.
You said that dance saved you, and I feel like that is a message that a lot of dancers and even non-dancers can relate to, in the form of storytelling. I know Sia, I hope I'm saying her name right, uses dance as a way to storytell in her videos. And I remember in my high school, it was a school of arts, someone did a dance about escaping from their abusive relationship, and the whole audience, like, you didn't have to know the context of that story to feel the power of it, and it was so beautiful. And I know that for that choreographer, that was a way for her to tell her story and escape, but then there was people in the audience who identified with it and felt like the pain, and it helped them. So that's something that I agree with, and is so beautiful about dance. So
yeah, and that's really nice to hear. Yeah.
That was dark, my bad.
No, not at all.
Damn, yup. I think that was a wild year.
Yeah, that was a dark time.
Okay. I will say, like Brianna, I started dance when I was little, and then in high school, I like kind of hated it, just because like it kind of became like a financial burden, and so like I kind of went through like, okay, the better I got, like the worse it was financially, because like obviously like more opportunities came. So then I was like, okay, like fuck this, like I hate dance, like blah 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 blah. And then I was like gonna go to school for cognitive science, like I don't know, I kind of like philosophy and cognitive thinking and stuff like that. But then I was like, okay, do I really want to sit in a lecture every morning at 9 a.m. or do I want to be in dance? And I was like, I want to be in dance. And so I honestly really went to Ryerson as kind of just like default. I was like, hey, well, this is the only place I can dance, because I wanted to go to the States, but that was like financially out of the question. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to Ryerson and I'm going to dance. And then when I got to Ryerson, it was a really big internal struggle, because I was like, okay, first of all, I didn't understand like the standards of Ryerson, because I didn't really know that much about the program actually before going into it. And so I was shocked and like very pleased. So it was like, wow, like this is amazing training, amazing school. And like it really moved dance from like a hobby to more of like a sophisticated practice. And I really struggle with that, because I was still kind of holding back onto this I hate dance, like blah blah blah. And like it took me a long time, like until my third year, I fully was able to fall in love with it again. And like that was really hard for me to do. Like, and then it was actually me working at like an investment firm one summer that set it in stone that dance is what like I want to do. It's my life, because I just really felt like my soul was leaving my body every time I went to that desk, and it was so draining. And it just like really made me motivated to make the most out of my training and what I've been given, and really go for it in like a career in this. And I feel like the main thing as an artist in general is that you have to, you're gonna not believe in yourself, or believe in yourself like every day. It's like, okay, I can do this, okay, I can't do this. And I feel like as an artist you kind of have to be very mentally strong to handle everything that's coming, because there's going to be days where you're like, I just wasted 10 years of my life like trying to do this thing, and then there'll be days where it's so rewarding, you're just like over the moon happy. So it's been a long journey with this passion of mine, but I definitely, regardless of anything, I will always have a career in dance, whether that's being an actual dancer, being a choreographer, being a creative. That will always be the center of everything.
How do you keep yourself mentally strong? I feel like I try to do that by telling myself like I am in control of my own brain. But a lot of people, to fight every day to get back up, it's one thing to be a dancer physically. I know after a long time, all the drops that you do, it can be very hard on your body. But how do you keep yourself strong in your mind?
I feel like you just have to remind yourself that no one else is going to live your life, and that you have to make it as fruitful and as rewarding as possible, because especially as an artist, you'll have people who don't respect you just because you chose a less traditional occupation. And so you have to really I guess what it really comes from is like knowing who you are and knowing yourself, like, and not letting outside opinions really take a toll on you, because it does hurt. It really does hurt, because it's an immediate disrespect almost when you meet someone and they ask you what you do, and then you say, "Oh, I'm a dancer," and they're like, "Well, what does that mean?" I'm like, that is the most specific occupation possible. I'm a dancer, where, you know what I mean? And like, people just choose to be ignorant and not understand or respect it, and just think it's kind of like foo-foo, you're wasting your time. But it's very sophisticated, and it's very professional. That just people have to learn how to take it seriously, and you have to take it seriously. I think that's the main thing. You have to take it seriously in order for other people to take you seriously.
When I was a researcher, he wasn't my direct manager, but he was a manager somewhere else, and his research when he was doing his master's was on strippers. So like when you say I'm a dancer, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, so like you're stripping," and he found out in his research that 90% of the women who were quote unquote stripping were actually in medical school and were very intelligent women, which is so interesting, because that's just like I feel like a stereotype that you hear, like, "Oh, I'm in med school, I'm just working to pay off my bills," but the reality of that is these women are actually doing that. And I don't know if you've ever gone to like a stripping class, but that shit is hard as hell. And like you're saying, they're professional, it's technical. I dare someone who hates on strippers to try to get up on a pole and do some twirls with their leg out while still looking sexy. That is hard as hell. So just something to think about. But Kahvontay, hit me with your passion. How did you get involved in the arts?
Well, I think what a lot of people don't know, a lot of our friends feel like, or people in high school know, is like, okay, I've been obviously gay my whole life, but that was like when I was younger. I was like about 3 or 4 years, and like Beyonce's "Uh-Oh" was, you know, that "Uh-Oh" video, and she was like, I learned all of the choreography head to toe, and like at my cousin's birthday party I was like doing it. Obviously like all my older cousins were like, no, stop, like you did it, bro, like no, he's gonna, and everyone's like, he's gonna be gay. So I was like, we're not putting him in dance because it's just gonna allow him to be gay. But my older sister used to dance, so I'd always go to the studio, I'd like watch her dance, and then I would even like, I used to cut like her shorts and like and pretend like I was like, okay, I can dance too. Like as I got older, they were like, okay, if you want to dance, you need to like prove it to us. So I got a job. First I was delivering papers just to pay for my own dance. So then as we got older is when I met like Samantha Sendes, like when I was in high school. It's like crazy dancers.
Shout out
so they were
Sam.
like, oh yeah, shout out to Sam. They're like, hey, there's like this really like dope studio. So it's like Joe Reed School of Dance. I end up going there, paying for all of my dance all by myself. And I remember the first day, I had Danny Matt, she teaches that contour dance. She's like amazing, like insanely, like she's like mind blowing. And this girl was like, sit down and watch. And if you're passionate enough, get up and do it again. And they were like, oh, he's not gonna last. Because she was giving us like post-secondary like training at like, we were like teenagers. We were like, how old were we? Like 14, 15. And she's giving us like freaking post-secondary level like training, quality training at like such a young age. I was like, no, I can't do this. The next day I had to like, each week I kept coming back and back and back until I was like, you know what, like I love this too much to give this up. And I just remember that like through my whole life, whether it was family or friends or anyone that like doubted me, like I felt the more they doubted me was like the more clarity I had and reassurance I had in myself, that I was like, I don't need any of you, and I was meant to do this whether you like it or not, and I'm going to do that. And I remember in my final year, it was like especially hard for me. I was going through a lot, figuring out myself, hormonal teenager. And I remember like one of our teachers, like,
ooh, that one.
She was like, you're never going to get to any of these schools. You should just stop dancing, like find another career path. Like, don't do it at all. And then I remember going up to my audition, and my mom and all of my family that do not, so like really at the beginning did not support me like my whole life dancing, they came to those auditions with me, and I got into every single school, and I came back to that school being like, hey bitch, sorry, but here you go. Mm-hmm. Here's all the schools that you said I wouldn't get into. I got into it. Flash forward 5 years later, and I'm not trying to like boast or be cocky, but I'm doing more than half of the people she praised and she thought could ever do. Mm-hmm. And I think that was something that like I feel like when it comes to dance and true artistry is like, if you love something, you're gonna fucking fight for it. And I feel like a lot of dancers, they get scared to like go against it and be like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't, maybe you're right. But it's like, no, even when it gets tough and it gets hard, and if you have to work your ass off, you need to do what you need to do, because that's what's going to elevate you and make you so much stronger. So when times like this come upon you, you're ready for it. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of why I'm so passionate. I don't know if I'm even making sense anymore, but I feel like it's something that everyone needs to hear. It's like, you cannot not fight for something that you love. And if it's something you're truly passionate about, it's going to happen way, because everyone's path is different, artistically, humanly. Like no matter what career we're going to do, we're all going to get there in our own way. And that's the most important thing that everyone always forgets, that like my path is my path and your path is your path, and sometimes they'll cross, but don't forget it's gonna happen for us in different ways, and that's okay, but it's what you need in order to grow. And I feel like people often, once they get shut down that first time, they're like, okay, well, I need to change careers because it's not working. But it's like, no, like, sis, sit down, think about it, figure it out, have different plans to get to where you need to go. If that means you have to work at freaking McDonald's or Starbucks like 40 hours a week while being in, sucks to suck, but at the end of the day, that's going to pay off. And I feel like a lot of people, they want the final product, but they don't want the process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm. You're actually so I have like this little movement and it's called Kids Matter, and it originally stemmed from trying to teach kids that they're good enough and that you matter and you can achieve anything you want out of life. And it stemmed from, I grew up in London too, and I saw my little sister and other kids who went to our high school who were just getting bullied and pushed down, but not by other students, by teachers. And it's a way to really unmotivate you and push you away from doing things you love or just continuing in education or academia or even in dance. And Kahvontay really pushed me without, I don't think I've ever told you, but to start this movement, because he, despite this bitchy teacher, he excelled and thrived in an area where at the beginning it was just him trying. So a lot of kids have benefited from his story and dance for that. So be resilient. And I think that's, if anything, that's what your story says, is like work hard every day, because your kick used to be like this and now it's like bitch. So if you try, you can actually accomplish a lot, and I think that's beautiful. So this question might pull at some of your hearts, but so I know Vania's killing me. So I know what stemmed your passion for dancing, but why do you dance? What does it do for you?
Damn.
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, everything that people have been saying so far, I agree with. I think that it's a nice way to connect to your body without harming it, because I think even though you are, putting yourself maybe through some physical pain, definitely I felt that in my life. It kind of makes you stay grounded and like return back to where you are in your space, in your body. It is a very spiritual thing, I think, and I wish more people danced. I think it would really help them, like Vania said, gain confidence and physical exercise, but in a fun way. Like there's so many different classes you can do. You don't have to be a ballerina to take ballet. You don't have to be, an acrobat to like take a gymnastics class, or, like, I think there's just so many things that people who don't feel like they're quote unquote dancers, dance is a way of life. It's movement and universal.
I think it's healing. I feel like it's a way to, like, for me personally, when I dance, it's healing, but then also when I teach, I find it's healing for other people too, because like we're not the only dancers, and I feel like artists aren't the only people that have been through trauma. And I think that for a lot of people, sometimes, like, even like my older clients that take my classes, like sometimes they're like, look, I'm having a really bad day and this class is what I needed, because it's just something to like escape from the pain. And for me, I remember like growing up gay in my family was like super difficult. So like for me, any chance I had to dance, I would absolutely be dancing, because it was the only way where I could like be myself and express myself without being like judged, because they weren't looking at, oh my God, you're so gay. They were just like, oh my God, you're so good. And I think it's a healing for a lot of people, like therapeutic. And like one of my teachers and mentors, he's always like, it's free therapy in a way. If you think about it, it's like free therapy, but it's therapy that like kind of sticks with you and it resonates and it heals you. I don't know. It's beautiful.
We know that there are so many ways in which you can dance, different genres. So I want to ask, what is your favorite genre and why?
Okay, honestly, I grew up in a ballet studio and I love ballet. Like I'm not a ballerina. Like I'm not. I'm like, I know that right now. But I don't know. I just really love it. It just doing it and watching it. It's like a breath of fresh air. Like that's really what it feels like for me. And like it's doing it is just so. It makes you feel like the closest thing to perfect. Like nailing something in ballet is so rewarding, and it's just like wow. Like you feel like a princess. You feel like a prince. You feel like perfect. Like you feel like you're in a completely different, like ethereal, magical world. And I just think it's so beautiful. I know it's super classical and traditional. And also with that said, it's very white, but its beauty has just like resonated with me ever since I was little. And I probably will continue on with that.
I think ballet, like I grew up watching so many ballet movies. I grew up in ballet classes. I have the most perfect turnout, but it's only because my hip is fused, not because I've practiced it.
Okay.
But there's so much strength, I feel like, in ballet where I don't know what genres you'll say, but when I was taking dance, I felt like like you're saying, I had to strive for perfection, and that is something I would take home with me to be like, I need to like point my toe deeper, and like you could go home and actually have like things to work on, where other things like hip hop, it was like, okay, let loose, or like contemporary, just like be able to feel, whereas ballet was like you don't really need to, in my opinion, it was like it's more about how you frame and the way you look. And I can say that when I'm working out, all my friends are like, what, are you even sweating? Like, are you breathing? But because I was trained in ballet to just like keep my face pretty well in pain, I don't know why, but now when I'm working out, I'll be in so much pain, but my face is just normal, and I've never noticed until my friends pointed out.
I would say contemporary. I grew up in a contemporary studio is contemporary, but I think that it's so unique and artistic, and you can be yourself, and it's also, you know what I mean? You can be as crazy as you want, or you can hit a 1-2 and make it as urban as you want, still be contemporary. And I feel like it's, as long as you have that foundation, you're really able to explore and kind of take it as you may and be who you want to be and make your own, your own little character that you become.
Similarly to Vania, I think that ballet is just the most gorgeous thing to watch. We actually went to the ballet together recently, and we were both just like the whole time, just in love with what the dancers were doing. But for me, I've had a lot of problems with ballet in my life. It's sort of been a love-hate relationship when I do it, when I dance it. So I think my favorite to perform or to be training in is probably like jazz. I think it's so musical and so grounded. I love jazz music, so when I listen to it, I just want to dance all the time. It's very improvisational and bombastic, as Vania would know. So I think jazz is probably my favorite.
You've managed to take something that you love and you're passionate about and turn it into a career or a profession, which is very challenging and hard to do. So I want to talk about what that journey's been like for you and how you were able to turn your passion into a profession.
There is definitely like a business side to being a dancer. I think you have to know who you are and what you can sell. Not in a prostitutional way, but in like a brand.
Yeah.
I think I've learned a lot about business through dance, even growing up as a kid, about, social media and how to use it to your benefit rather than to your disadvantage. I think, we want to stick to being passionate and not too much about business, at least in my experience. But, we have to make money. We have to be able to support ourselves. And having business beside that is also really helpful in the long run. Yeah, that's my take on that. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys say.
Okay. So, Vania, your take on making your passion into, I guess, a business.
Well, okay, I made a promise to myself that like I always want to dance because I love it and I don't want to be stressed out about money with it. So I feel like regardless of like if I get into a company or something like that, like I don't want to be concerned about the pay. I just want to be there because I want to be there. And so with that, I've like figured out ways to like maximize money in dance. And that was like taking really random jobs, like dance jobs, obviously. Like, I literally did a Bollywood music video.
That's sick.
Super random.
Nice.
And I worked for like a dance competition, and I'm like making my way up with them. Like I used to just be work for merch, and that's basically like retail. And then now I'm like the head tabulator, and like hopefully I can get to judging, and then like kind of stuff like that. Like I want to get my money value from more commercial areas of dance, like teaching and choreographing. But with dance, like some opportunities, of course, are very good income, and that's just like a nice benefit. But regardless of everything, I want to dance because like I want to be there and I want to work with everybody. And then I don't know, I'm a hustler, so like if I dance and I don't make money, like I'll just figure out how to make money somewhere else or some other way. So I guess it's kind of in that sense, but I'm trying to transition into more of like a creative director um, or installation worker because I feel like that's just going to allow me to have like a very long, sustainable career in dance. Like not necessarily creating or dancing at like the level I would like to, but making it at least accessible for everybody and something I can produce.
Would you say for people who are trying to get into the dance world, especially here in Toronto, that connections are one of the most important things?
Yes. Like absolutely
mandatory. If you don't know nobody, you're not gonna work.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
pretty
Yeah.
So
you have to know people.
how do you know people? Is it just going to studios and finding out? Like if I'm a small town kid, I don't know, coming from like London, Ontario, small city kid, I just learned how to dance off YouTube. I want to move to the big city, Toronto. I want to work at a dance studio. I want to be in plays. I want to figure the shit out. How do I do that? Who do I talk to?
Well, it depends on what kind of dance you be. I feel like a dancer like that, if you're trying to be in the commercial industry and you want to be on like music videos and things like that, like I know for a fact like Underground, Dance Life, and they all have energy exchange programs. So basically you work 2 shifts a week at the front desk, which is helping people like check in, and like if they want to buy merch, they can buy merch, and you like clean up the studios, and then you get unlimited classes. Now, those unlimited classes, but you get an X amount of classes. It might not be unlimited at every studio, but those X amount of classes then also get you kind of in with the teachers, because then you can take, say you love this one teacher and you need to like, you start taking their class, you start to like, you can build a relationship organically because you have this membership where you can take their class and train. But at the same time, you're not having to necessarily spend hundreds of dollars a month just to dance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one way. Another way is people always forget. And like when I was in first year of school, I laughed at my teacher when he said this. You're such a liar. That's not. Listen, these people that are in the room today, like one day you'll be on a panel, maybe judging them for a job. Maybe you might get cast in the same job together. And I was like, yeah, but everyone's different. But then as you get older, and you start to be like, you pick up other different dance jobs, you start to see that, hey, I went to school first year. So being a good person, always number one. If you're going to burn a bridge, you better be sure the bridge you're burning, because you don't know down the line if that person's going to come into factor, that person faculty, or who that person's going to be 5 years down the line. So always be a good person. And it's not like, don't be fake. Like if you don't like someone, you don't like someone, still be a good person. That has nothing to do with your character.
Be respectful.
Yes, because honey, there's times when I've like people like we're in first year was like the most wild time of my life. And then like 5 years down the road, like we're here now, and I like see people, and I'm just, oh yeah. And if people will ask, people like some people just will trust their friend's opinion. Like, hey, should I cast this? You weren't a person. No, that person was not nice to me. Do not cast them. And I feel like people forget how much power certain people do have, because it's at the end of the day, it's connections. So be a good person.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just touch on that actually, because I think in the dance industry, there's a lot of jealousy, just underlying. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself too, just because of the nature of our competitive edge and our drive to wanting to be the best. But something that I learned from Toes for Dance, David Norsworthy and Kristen Carconi, these two wonderful humans taught me that if you really like what someone is doing, go up and tell them. Like, actually make the effort to, in a positive way, connect with them, rather than, you know, like, oh, they won't want to hear that or something. Like, it's a great conversational starter too, just to be like, wow, I really loved what you did in class today, or your outfit looks really awesome. Where'd you get it? Right? Like, there's just some simple small talk things that you can do to connect yourself with people, and not in like a alternative motive way, but just because you actually enjoyed what they did, or you were inspired by them in some way. That's something that I've learned, and has really benefited me in some ways, just to have connections and to be a part of this community.
How was that?
With that said, too, yeah, gonna touch off Brie and Kahvontay. I feel like regardless, like the connection should be natural. And sometimes if like it's not working and you don't really connect with this person, regardless of like how much you want to work with them or you admire them, I feel like sometimes you have to let that go and build something else that's gonna be more valuable to you. And and with that said too, with what Kahvontay said, yes, of course, always be a good person, but always stay true to yourself. I feel like I've definitely been in situations where I'm so grateful to be in this room with somebody and really want to work with them, really want to absorb what they're giving me, but we're just not clicking. And then I feel like I've been in situations where I've tried to adapt for them to kind of adapt to their style, adapt to who they are, and then the results still didn't change. So I feel like regardless, you have to stay true to who you are and be respectful, but you don't try to change or adapt or be like manipulated by the situation just because you want it so badly. You know what I mean? It's like really easy, especially like as young emerging artists, like it's so easy for us to, okay, like I really want to work with them, like I'll be exactly what they want me to be, but it's more important to be who you are, because that will stretch you longer.
Yes, you have to be unapologetic.
Yeah, very true.
So I do want to kind of touch on that young artist. All of you, with the exception of Vania, so two of you, are actually not from the city, but you're here, and I think that's incredible. One thing I do is when I see the CN Tower, I remind myself, like, bitch, you're here. Congratulations. Because for some people, they don't realize to be in a city like this, to be living your dream, no matter if that is dance, if that's taking the path of school, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, if you want to just be a simple receptionist, good for you. But you're in one of the biggest cities in Canada, and I think that deserves a fucking applause. But what have been some of the challenges to be a young artist in the city?
I feel like it's just the scale of it almost, and kind of navigating like, okay, like there's so much big opportunity here, but where am I right now? And can I work my way up in this city? Like, especially growing up here, like I was exposed, everything was very accessible for me, which I'm very grateful for. But then it made me realize, like, okay, like I'm trying to move out of the city, like move out of the connections I can already have here. And that made me realize like I need to do a little bit more research almost. Like I know my city, like I grew up here, but in terms of like things that I'm interested in, aside from like the big scale companies, like what are other sources that I can situate myself in? Because like you said, like the city has so much to offer, and I feel like sometimes a lot of especially young Toronto artists are always like outreaching or outsourcing outside of their own thing, when exactly what you want to be doing, you could get started here and then grow. I feel like a lot of people forget that whatever you want to do, especially because we're in such a crazy, amazing city, like can start here. And if you want to take it to New York, you want to take it to Europe or something like that can happen. But I feel like you have to scale it out in your own city. Like I keep reminding myself, like, if you can't make it in your own city, like how are you going to make it like anywhere else? And I feel like coming back to that and like using the resources we already have is like very, very important.
I like that. I went to an event called Women Talks, and there was like, I think she was, I'm going to be polite. She was in her early 50s. But she was a politician for the NDP party, and she told me, what did she say? You can do everything. And I was like, yeah, like our generation's good at that. And she's like, but don't do it all at once. And I feel like everyone is like, yo, if I'm not able to do it right now, I need to move. I need to just like have my hands in everything. But it was kind of like your story, Vania, of working at a brokerage and you being like, nah, like this isn't for me. But I bet you learned things from there, and then doing that experience made you realize that that wasn't for you. So it's like, do little things that help you towards what you actually want to do. If you're not doing something you love, know that, and just be like, I'm only doing this because I need money in my pocket. But do it so it's not detrimental to your health. Like if you're working a shitty job, make sure that it's part-time so that you can do your side hustle on the side. And I feel like not a lot of people are thinking about that. But I love that you just said, if your own city's like not supporting you and you can't thrive in your own city, then like good luck. And I feel like people are so quick to leave without being like, what can I get? And how can I grow from here? Because odds are people are going to check back in and be like, well, what did you do in Toronto? And then you're like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, that's not a good look.
Yeah. Well, I'm just here now, so.
I need to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Ottawa originally, which has a very little dance opportunity. There is some, and definitely my generation of dancers, like Emma Portner is from Ottawa. She's a contemporary dancer. A lot of people have made their own opportunities in Ottawa, and I was lucky to be a part of them. But I knew, like, from the time I started to really take dance seriously, I knew I needed to get out of Ottawa. I would go to summer intensives. I decided that I needed to get out, so I would apply for, I went to the School of Alberta Ballet, I went to Arts Umbrella in Vancouver, just trying to, like, as much as I can, like, pull from different places in Canada. And that really helped me understand, like, the depth and the broad, like, system that is the dance world in Canada.
So there were a couple of discussions about social media and the power that it does play. Right now, we're living in like the world of TikTok, which is very interesting because you see not like quote unquote non-dancers exploring dance. So I kind of want to just grab your opinions on why do you think dance is becoming such a fad, and what's catching people's attention to click on more dance videos on the Explore page or create a TikTok? What do you think is gravitating people towards those platforms?
I'm actually really glad you brought this up because I feel like it's such a weird topic for like professional dancers. to see, all of these TikTokers getting brand deals and stuff like that. And I think the positive thing about it, and the thing that I like to watch and see, is that people are moving, and they're with friends, and they're listening to music, and there's a lot of positive, great things about it. But I will say, if you are not going to dance class, I think you're missing out on so many opportunities to learn dance. I know that you can, you hold your phone and you watch someone else do the dance, and then you think you have it. But I think having a teacher in front of you, or someone who is trained to help you learn the movements, or to at least get the timing of things properly, would really benefit a lot of people. And I know TikTok is just a silly, fun app, and I'm probably taking this way too seriously, but I've been thinking about it a lot, about how it's affecting the dance industry, because teachers are trained and should be, the ones that are teaching dance. And you can find classes online, especially right now. So I don't know. I mean, as long as people are having fun and enjoying the community around TikTok, I think that's okay. But I hope it doesn't take away jobs from teachers, or the group class atmosphere, which I've always loved.
It's funny that you're talking about being on beat with it, because you can literally record 5 different videos and then just line it up to be on beat. It's not even that you are on beat when the music is playing, which is hilarious to me. But
it's a new medium. It's a new medium, I think, for people to explore, and I'd be interested to see how it takes off even after this new wave of being at home and self-isolation. But yeah, I just hope it doesn't take away live dance classes, in going to class, because I think that's super important. That's my take. And that's what I'm
at. Well, I'm gonna put this out there. I hate when my friends ask me to do TikTok videos who are non-dancers, because it's just I'm not gonna teach it to you 4 more times.
Yes.
I don't know if it's I don't know. I feel people now, especially with TikTok, people are just kind of learning dance isn't that serious. Everyone can just do it to have fun. It doesn't have to be so formal, which is kind of nice. But I definitely won't be going on that. It's not social media platform that's beneficial to my practice. It's definitely more a social fun thing. Tools like Instagram, Facebook are way more professional. If I'm gonna use that in a resume context, or a referral, I would never refer someone my TikTok. But, you know what I mean? But it's nice. It's just a fun thing everyone can do. It's nice that everyone's it's actually getting people, like Brianna said, moving, and not just dead into a phone. But definitely not a place I'd say is a source for good training or experience.
That's so funny. I've literally only used TikTok to videotape my baking.
Nice.
I didn't. Are people actually using TikTok to train? I did not know.
Well, I taught a class once, and they asked me to teach them a TikTok dance, and I was very shocked. Yeah, so.
Well, my little sister is very big on it, and I am telling you right now, her and her little friends who are 17, they will spend all day making and learning, like Vania said, TikTok dances. They take it so very seriously. And she has 16,000 likes on it and things. So it does a couple things. It's one, you're learning a dance to get attention, not learning it to move and the type of dances they're doing, or like, I don't know, if I was a mom right now, I'd probably be like, hold the fuck up. But like like Megan Stallion dance right now, like,
oh my god, that one, I'm okay, honestly, guilty pleasure, I'm not gonna lie. I've been seeing it a lot, and I love that song. That's the only reason.
It slaps. But to see little girls like doing this, and it's I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, even the lyrics, if you think about what she's saying, it's like those lyrics. Excuse me, are you old enough to?
But that's the thing, like, I don't think majority of people on TikTok are university or like older. They're little 10 to like 18-year-old girls like brucking it out, and I don't know how I feel about that. So social media is like a double-edged sword, right? It can be very positive, it can be very negative. For the dance world, how do you think it is impacting the community right now?
Well, especially right now with C Void, everybody is using it to the full extent. Like, Damien Gillet, a choreographer, literally announced, he's like, I'm posting full works, which are like 30-minute, 40-minute pieces, which like would never really happen if we weren't in these C Void circumstances, because it's like I'm giving you free access to my creation, right? But things like that, especially now with like IGTV, like we can upload actually like long periods of like a clip of a piece or something that can be viewed and like shared and like appreciated. But with dancers and social media, I don't think we get enough respect on it, just because of, and YouTube actually too, just because it's so hard for us just to upload our work because of music restrictions. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm not really I'm not stealing anything. I'm just adding something to it. So that's kind of like a really tough aspect I've battled with for a long time, just because it's like, okay, like, what's the point of creating content if it can't even be uploaded, if it can't even be shared? So that's kind of like a downer part of it. But otherwise, like, I've definitely got all my commercial jobs through my Instagram, like solely through my Instagram, more like company based or like show based things. Not really through like an Instagram source. Definitely that's more of like word of mouth. But commercial wise, Instagram is your best friend, especially if you put out like dance content, like you show that you're doing things and like they can see your training without having to like go to your resume or go to your website or something like that.
Like, that's amazing and that's great. But when it comes to, I think, like more concert dancers and like contemporary dancers, artists, I feel like it's harder, like way harder, because like as soon as if you're not following the hype essentially, or you're not posting something that is a banger and you're doing it more because you love it and it's like artistic, people are gonna be like, what the fuck is that? And I feel like for me, like my viewers are it's very mixed. If I like post a banger of me doing like a summer walk, but like contemporary to summer walker, everyone's like, they'll go nuts. But as soon as I post something that is maybe more, I would say traditional, or just traditional music, they'll be like, who the fuck do you think you are? You know what I mean? And I feel like for our artistry, sometimes it's hard to like stay true to your artistry. Like, how do you stay true to your artistry without following the hype?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you get your work shown and being like, hey, check this out. Maybe you're not going to like this really because it's super weird, but like it's art and it's still dance. And I feel like some people are like, okay, if you're not doing 8 pirouettes right now, I don't want to see that. And it's hard to sometimes like grasp that attention of like, this is what real artists do. It's not always about the turns or the tricks or the jumps. It's like, this is my art and this is what I've created. This is my movement. Mm-hmm. This is versus just like, look at what I can do. So I feel like for like commercial dancers and like when you're working in the commercial industry, it's great for like getting hired and things like that. But when it comes to like artistically, for me, for my company, like when I'm looking to cast dancers into my company, I don't I could give a fuck if they can do 20 turns or not. I want to see, like, are you an artist? Can you actually dance? There's a difference between doing 8 turns on a spot every time you improv and can you actually dance? Can you give me a TT ha? Not a freaking, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a huge difference. And I feel like a lot of people also with Instagram, it's so easy to show how great you are, but not show who the fuck you really are. And like, because sometimes I'll like meet people online, I'm like, wow, like they're amazing. And then like, not to be rude, but when I'm in class with them or they're taking my class or I'm taking like my friend's class that they're in, I'm like, well, honey, where was all that Instagram stuff you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it can also be like a hit or miss, because sometimes it's like bang on and you're like, yes, amazing. And then sometimes like you'll hire that person and come through and you're just like, this is not, I've been catfished on Instagram.
So our podcast is called Verified. And if you've seen any of our episodes, we ask this question to every single guest who's on the show. And it's just to kind of bring meaning back to our own lives and use it as an escape from what has been traditionally created for us and allowing us to create our own narrative and our own meaning, because a large portion of this podcast is about storytelling and defining and telling our stories for ourselves. So with that being said, if you could redefine the term verified, how would you define it and explain it to others?
We're not talking about the little circle beside each username.
100%. So it stemmed from the understanding that we're seeking like validation from online, and that the check mark beside our name is a measurement of our success. But that is actually not true, because a lot of people pay for their verification. So
what? You can pay for that?
Yeah, apply for it.
So it's, how do you verify your own life instead of going out online and seeking that?
I feel like verified for me is just being a professional in your industry. Like, obviously it doesn't matter about the blue check, but like, if you are a professional, if you can create opportunity for somebody else, if you have the ability to create opportunity for yourself, I feel like you're verified in that sense, because you are someone people can come to and talk about the business you do and actually gain knowledge and insight and guidance from. So I feel like that's how I would like to redefine it.
I like it. Got a professional in the house.
I think for me, the like linguistic in me is coming out. Like when I think of the word verified, I think of like verity, like truthfulness, right? So already I'm like, well, then what is your truth? What are you trying to say from your own perspective? And maybe it'll change, I guess, over the years. I think trying to stay true to myself has been a personal journey of mine, but as long as I can remember like where I came from and where I want to go, and keep dreaming, I think that'll help me stay verified, you know? Yeah.
So if you could redefine the term verified, how would you define it to others?
I think being content with yourself. And I feel like if you like, yeah, I feel like going what they said, like if you're content with yourself and you are, no one's going to tell you otherwise.
I like that. So I want to provide everyone with an opportunity to plug in yourselves, the work that you're doing, whether it's in the dance community or just for the community in general. Normally at this time, we would give you a tote bag with a t-shirt in it. You will still get those just after we're done being quarantined. So if you have any plugins, we can start with Brianna and Vania and then go to Kahvontay.
Okay, yeah. I have Instagram at Brianna Clarke with 2 E's. I don't have Twitter. I used to, but I don't anymore. That's mainly where I put a lot of my things, on Instagram. I also have a podcast that I would love for you guys to check out. It's very similar to this. just a place for people to talk about art. Any and all artists, not just actors. It is called Artversations, and it is on Apple and Spotify, Google Podcasts, basically anywhere you get your podcasts. And the Instagram is at ArtVersationsPod. I'm actually taking a break right now from podcasting, but I will be back shortly. So please check out that Instagram so you can see when I update. And that's my socials.
Nice. Thank you.
Well, my Instagram is Vania Raquel XO. My Vimeo is vimeo.com/VaniaDoduWheels. And I just uploaded a whole bunch of new content on there, and I probably will with this new week. So check that out.
It's really great.
Yeah. And I will be choreographing an opening number for Fashion Art Toronto, which, if it happens, I don't know. But that is coming up in May 9th and 10th.
Hey, it's exciting.
So come check that out.
My name's Kahvontay Slaughter. My company, go follow my company's account. It's Unapologetic Dance Collective. We have our first full-length show coming up June 6th at Artscape Venues, their new Weston one. I'm also that's set for April 11th, but I'm pretty sure it might be a couple weeks from April 11th with, Convoyed and whatnot.
Wait, what's April 11th?
The Life of Her. I'm in a show. It's a full-length dance show. It's actually very great. Like, these dancers are friggin' like, girl, gotta get my shit together. I feel so old. They're all like 19 and damn.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you to our guest. This was a great conversation. I loved it. I feel like an honorary dancer right now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm going to hit all of you up to make a TikTok.
Oh my God. Only if it's the Megan Stallion
podcast. All right. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Be lenient with your toilet paper. And have a blessed week, everyone.
Yes.
Stay blessed.
Stay blessed.